What is up, everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York, calling from the quarantine zone again. And this time we are here with Freiberger of Death Cave, here to also talk about Satanic Royalty Records. Great to have you here, man, out in the right before we go camping on 420.
Hell yeah, there's really lucked out on weather too. Just chose this day at random with the record label launching and with 50% capacity and getting ready for summer with the bar I manage, which is also going to be which is kind of like an indoor outdoor venue as well. So a lot of really busy things coming up. So I wanted to get out to nature, and I was like, fuck it, like 420 to 422. I'm just gonna leave, and it turned out to be fucking beautiful out, as you can see. It's not often you get blessed with such weather in the Northwest in April, you know?
Definitely, definitely. And you've had a very productive year throughout this pandemic because just with Death Cave alone, you gave us a Smoking Mountain, and then you started Satanic Royalty Records. I mean, like, first of all, what kind of like was there like a moment of inspiration that just made you launch this record label? Like, what made you kind of want to work behind the scenes or behind the stage as well as working on the stage?
Yes. This has always been kind of something that I had wanted to do, but it was kind of something that was just like a back burner thing. Like, I'd get there eventually when I have more money or something like that. But because I manage so Ben Varellen from Varellen Amplifiers and Helm to Lee, he owns a bar that I manage, and I helped him open here in Seattle. And then that busy bar became we added a music venue, 100 person. So I mean, it's like normally I'm managing the bar, working bartending, touring, and being in a band. So that's kind of like and then finding a little personal time to get out to the woods or spend it with loved ones and friends. So it's like I really didn't have time to really focus on something like that or like make it more of a relevant thing. And then COVID happened, which means bartending and music, basically every single thing that's been my driving force through life, is kind of like came to a halt. So like most people, I went into an insane depression and got really sad and fluctuated my weight and tried to find happiness in different things, like, just working out or like self-discovery or whatever the hell, taking care of those things that, it's like that you normally wouldn't have uh, the time for. Like I guess, it's like, oh, I'm gonna fucking finally do a million spots a day. It's like actually I could fucking do it at the time. Or like me, play World of Warcraft World of Warcraft Classic as it came out in phases through quarantine, which took up a little bit too much time. All right, but now let's get to the music part of that. First of all, here's my dog,
Hey, what's
Balrog.
good?
He's a really good boy. Um, but so with the Death Cave album coming out, I've been, it's like throughout my 23 or 4 years playing music and recording my own music and stuff, I've always taken pride in putting it out myself, booking my own tours, like kind of just handling it all on kind of the more, like underground level, which I was really happy about because music is such a pure and amazing thing to me that I never wanted to lose the love, the drive, the passion behind it. I've always been an incredibly hard worker, so it was never hard for me to make enough money or be able to like go on tour and do the things I love. It's like I was never trying to make like money off of it. You know what I mean? I was just doing it to try to make, break even with the amount of money we put into the music and still be able to tour, record, and do all the things that we all love as musicians. And then, fucking, I'm just like wandering off. Sorry, I got really stoned, and now I'm just like, oh wait, now I'm rambling here.
It's 420, baby.
Anyway, it's 420. Yes, I'm going camping, and I've been smoking doobies since I woke up. You know what? Can I smoke a doobie on this podcast? Or is
Yeah,
this a video one?
yeah. It's video,
All
but
right.
you're more than welcome to do it.
I could do it. All right. Where did they go? Oh, now I'm taking up time. I'll just smoke my e thing while we do this. All right. Well, um, so then quarantine happened. Death Cave had the new album that was coming out right as fucking quarantine happened. You know, we had a 5-week tour booked. Oh, I remember what I was going off on about being a love for the underground. You know, that was all what it was about. You know, it's like there's a time when, you know, my old band Throwing a Bone, we booked an entire tour where we played nothing but like house shows and DIY venues, which is a lot harder than you think to kind of put together because a lot of people like to party, and sometimes, you know, back in the day it wasn't as easy to keep everything so organized digitally. You know, a lot of things are still just like phone calls and emails. Sometimes you'd show up to a place and people would forget that you had a show. You know, but sorry, there's some trucks hanging out around here. Uh, all right, calm down a little bit. Well, damn it, those trucks got me off guard. All right, talking about music, underground. Yeah, so everything was fine the way it was. I was always happy doing that. And it wasn't until the Death Cave album where I really, really wanted to, God damn it, I keep blocking the camera. Where I really wanted to actually like be able to reach a wider audience with the music. You know, I was so incredibly proud of the music we were making. And it was something that I really wanted to take a bit further than I have been able to take before. So I was really shopping out records a ton, and there's a couple promising leads, and then boom, COVID-19 hit. So it's just like, well, I'm not going to continue to try to find anybody to try to put this record out. I'm just going to put it out myself. And I mean, for the EP we put out, I put it under the name Satanik Royalty, which used to be a vinyl DJ night I used to do. So I kind of had a little image for it and some, you know, a little name to go with it. So I just like kind of copy pasted that as my stamp, so it looks more like a legit label. And then so I continued to do that with the Smoking Mountain. And then during COVID, I had Eris reach out to me asking about labels to help them put it out their new album, and Old Iron hit me up asking the same thing, and so did Sandwriter. And all three of those bands are so fucking good that it just like broke my heart. You know, it was like, fuck this. Like, I'm gonna like reach out to the internet and see what I can do. And so I did, and I was able to find some investors. You know, it's just like I'm not a really school learned person. You know, I've always been fucking playing rock and roll since I was a little kid, and that's the only thing that mattered. You know, I was not really into going to college to fucking learn a career or whatever. You know, it wasn't in my itinerary of life. I wanted to party fucking hard, and I wanted to play music. You know.
Yeah.
That's it. That was it. You know, I had no plans for my future. I really loved music, and I really, you know, was a hard worker. I worked hard enough so I could do drugs and drink and play heavy metal and not fucking burn out. Well, I kind of did burn out. That's why I've been sober for a while. But regardless of all that, that is what happened. And I fucking, it was like the last straw. So I was like, okay, I reached out. I found investors. I'm not afraid to ask people for help. So I kind of asked a million people who do know business, and you know, picked Ben Breland's brain, my boss, a bunch, and was able to reach out to a few record labels that I really love and respect, like STB. Steve at STB was really awesome, and Aaron Turner from Siege Records, and Hydra Head, who was really awesome to pick his brain. Is, you know, Hydra Head was kind of had a failing, and then with Siege doing their more limited, smaller runs. Like, it's just, that's the kind of stuff you really, really want to learn about when you're opening a business. You know, not just what succeeds, but also like what fails and what doesn't really work, and how that all goes. And I'm really, you know, I've got like ADHD and severe depression, so I really love to hyper focus on things I'm into. So it's like once it became something that was turning into a reality. It was like kind of consumed my every day. You know, it's like trying to figure out every aspect of running a business, how to do it on a global scale. Because if the way I wanted to do it was not just like starting small like labels, like small independent labels do. I wanted to have enough financial backing to do global distribution, to be able to reach the markets where a lot of these bands should be. You know, throughout Europe and all of North America, and eventually, you know, like Southeast Asia, Japan, and Australia, and New Zealand, and stuff like that. But we're going to start with, you know, Europe, UK, and all of North America, just, you know, Canada, Mexico, United States, all that. So yeah, that that is kind of how it all came together. And then the whole thing with like the clothing line aspect is like I'm covered like head to toe in tattoos, and all my best friends are like tattoo artists, and kind of that whole culture has been a very big part of my life, my whole life as well. And there's been a huge crossover between heavy metal and the tattoo world forever, you know. And so I wanted to take basically all of my weird concept designs and reach out to like everyone of my favorite artists, like mainly tattoo, but I also have like a lot of like, you know, like music artists, like or people who do art for albums, like Santos who's doing art, and you know, I can't even remember his real name right now. I feel like a jerk. Matt, I think it's Matt Hicker, from Drouse, Bargain Brain Blasphemy is his Instagram name, but like, you know, I'm getting some really awesome artists who also are away from it, but just doing all these really cool conceptual designs that I have. And I'm going to have a reoccurring theme of kind of like a Conan person, but Native American instead. Like I have one that was done by Tim Lehigh, chopping a dude in half with a tomahawk. I got another one of a dude going to scalp a person. But I really love tying together the brutality and the native imagery because I'm native, and I like kind of keeping that stuff alive in my own way of brutality and heavy. And also, the label will be doing a lot of work where I'll be sending a lot of money to nonprofits that help Indigenous people, starting with the one that my mom, she was the executive director of, called the Fairbanks Native Association, where I'm from in Alaska, that helps homeless natives with like drug and alcohol abuse, which is something I can relate to extremely, and have been around kind of my whole life, so I kind of know the tortures and torments of it, and just how Native American people as a whole have kind of been cast aside and forgot about, and you know, they just suffer so much that they have to deal with a lot of shit, and it's just you know, so it's like most of the nonprofits I want to raise money for will be that has to do with that, you know, like definitely people who struggle with addiction. And then I'll be doing that by doing like cover albums every year. Like I've been doing a bunch of like couch covers that I've been doing on our YouTube, and we have a new one coming out tomorrow actually, which will be premiering on Brooklyn Vegan. And so I'll be putting that out on a record, and then I'm also going to be doing a His Hero Is Gone cover album with a bunch of artists from all over. And that one I'll be taking all the profits as well and donating it out. But I want to use this as a way to kind of like build community, just everything, awareness, fucking for the artists. You know, it's like I like to highlight every artist that I use for my imagery on the shop, and you know, it just amplify the music I fucking love in Seattle. You know, it's a record label for Seattle. We haven't had proper heavy representation and in a while. Like, I mean, we've had really cool labels and other things, but it's like every cool, really, really heavy band that, you know, does well, like our friend Bellwitch and like stuff like that, are represented by a label that's outside of Seattle. So I just really wanted to be able to represent Seattle's like super heavy underground music properly. Um, and so that's what I'm trying to do.
And you're definitely succeeding with it. I gotta say, I think it's great that you use this time during this pandemic to kind of have a moment of reinvention and self discovery and creating something that I think is very beneficial for a lot of causes. I think there's a great artistic experience behind it, and I really think that Satanic Royalty Records is it's not just going to be a record label. I really think it's just going to be an art movement in a way.
It is 100%. This is, I hate to say the word empire, but I want to grow this as something, and again, like really strong for community. There'll definitely be some kind of music festival attached to it, and I've been talking with my friend Leah about us starting a podcast and just like, just again, just keeping it like growing as a something for the community of Seattle. It's not just something for me to grow and become like rich off of or whatever. It's something that I really want to do because I really fucking care about the scene here, and that's why it's like we are just a Seattle only band, but record label. But I do open myself to taking submissions from bands who have indigenous members or trans members. One, obviously, I'm very close to indigenous people, but it still bums me out that in today's day and age that trans people still get a lot of fucking pushback from the metal community a bit. There's still a lot of weird hatred, kind of like that whole thing with Melissa from Abstu. Like that's just disgusting, and that should not be happening in today's day and age, especially in the metal community, which is something that I love so fucking much. It's like everything to me. So I offer that simply because I want to be able to help represent heavy underground towards people that maybe don't have the best chance, out there in the world we live in.
And I think so. I think you're allowing for creative, artistic expression. You're helping your scene, and you're making a difference, and informing people on certain issues. I think there's only positive things that come out of this, and I find it unique too because from what you're telling me, you seem to work on every aspect in the music, from being in a really kick-ass band to working at a venue to now working at a label as well. It just seems like that you are able to kind of do you think that maybe working in these different realms could help one another? Like obviously I think you're helping
100%. They've all fed each other, and I mean, I grew up in Fairbanks, Alaska, where there's a lot of musicians, but we all had to do it ourselves. It was very much like you rent a hall, you find people to do security. It's like you bring a PA. It's like you had to do everything. Like, or in the summer we'd set up guerrilla shows because you have to plug your car in everywhere in the winter, or else your car would freeze, your oil would freeze. So in the summer, it means every single parking lot has electricity, and the sun doesn't set. So you could just go like, hey, meet at Sam's Club parking lot at 2 a.m. and like, bring a couple skate ramps and fucking drop off a few fucking handbills at the record store and the skate shop, and boom, the city shows up. It was until the cops kicked us out, fucking jerks.
well.
But ever since then, and then when I moved to Seattle, as I've always been very like passionate about the scene. I was very intimidated though when I first moved here. I like things like hardcore, and the hardcore scene was terrible. Man, it was like no one even cared about the music. It cared about who they were with and stuff. But I just love music. I hate fucking all the stupid shit that sometimes gets associated with it. But oh man, now I got all sidetracked. What were we talking about?
Nothing. I mean, I was enjoying listening to you just talk about like this experience and everything because being in a band, it goes hand in hand. Like you're a musician, you work at a label, you work at a venue,
Oh
you
yeah, with doing anything, yeah. I mean, it's gone since that. So basically, since I moved to Seattle, which was in 2004, I was already starting to help book shows for my first bands that I was in. We did a lot of house shows around town, and then as I was getting more well known and more involved in the scene, I was booking a lot of shows at this really cool venue called the Belltown Underground, and I helped a lot of people book shows. bands find places to crash because I was always at punk houses and stuff. I had a recording studio in one of my houses in Capitol Hill forever ago that bands like like the Fleet Foxes, like an indie band, recorded their like first demos at and shit like that. Like it's just I've always been around, and that's why it kind of came to running a label work so well is because I've spent a lifetime making all these connections. I travel around the world too. I'll go to festivals like Roadburn and stuff like, and I'm a very social person. It's like again, it comes with being hyper depressed is you really enjoy the company of other people. So I, just have always loved the metal scene. And it's like for when I went to Bangkok. It's like I went to drop off some records at the 666 record shop there, and when we got there, they like closed down the shop and took us around town and brought us to the Immortal Bar where a band from Australia was playing that night. And it's just like that scene is so pure and amazing. Like, it's like you don't know these people. You talk to them on an email and then you're instantly like, brothers and sisters with these people that you have never met just because you share the same love and passion for this music, that is entirely survived because of like the fan base and everything. You know what I mean? It's like it's a community that keeps itself afloat, and that's what makes it so magical. That again, you can travel almost anywhere and just meet the best people on the planet.
Definitely. And before we go, I just want to thank you so much for your time today. And again, happy 420. Is there just
Yeah,
any?
dude. I got a bag full of mushrooms and some long, strange days, and some whole bag. I got like a quarter pound of weed on me. Man, I just want to be around a fire. I got my dog. I just went through a breakup. Me and my partner of a little over 5 years. Just separated right as my record label's kicking off. So I'm just trying to like wash my brain out real quick before really putting my head down and kind of cranking out a lot of really cool releases. I've got but there's that 5 month turnaround ish time with the record labels across the board, or with record plants, turning around records, which was kind of cool because it gave me a lot of time to set everything up. But I've got a lot of really cool releases lined up until next summer, 2022. So, um, and that's just what I got now. I'll be cooking up some more stuff as time goes, but you can't do everything at once. It's got to take some time. But I'm really, really excited about what the future will hold, and I cannot wait to share some of this music with you. My first release is this new Eris LP, and it is it's really special. It's an incredibly amazing album. It's recorded by Scott Evans from Kowloon Walled City, and he was really able to capture their sound really well. And that band is just incredibly special to me, and I'm really happy to be able to help them put out their next release.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today, everybody. We are here with
Oh
Freiburger.
yeah.
Everybody,
Uh, and don't forget, I'm gonna cut you off real fast here. Don't forget to check out our web store page at www.satanicroyaltyrecords.com. That's with a K. All right, now go on.
I just wanted to say, everybody, we are here with Freiburger of Death Cave. Be sure to check out everything via Satanic Royalty Records. This is Alex from Heavy New York.